I grew up in what I thought was an all-American home. My dad was an alcoholic, and I thought that every dad was an alcoholic. I thought that was normal until I was about 8, when my mom said enough was enough. My dad went to rehab, and about 8 months later he came back. Things started to change, and my family became what was to be a normal family in my eyes. By the age of 14, I got diagnosed with cervical cancer, found out I wasn't able to have any children, and then I decided I was going to start hanging out with the wrong crowds. By the time I was 17, I was spiraling severely downhill and had a severe cocaine addiction. Knowing that my dad had been through recovery and he had gone on the path that I knew that I needed to follow, I knew that he could understand where I was coming from, the hurt and the destruction that I had inside of me. And so I turned to him because of that understanding, because I knew that he wouldn't judge me and he wouldn't say, I expected more, but let me show you how I can fix this. Let me show you what I've done and what you don't want to do. I can help you with that. I asked him for help, and he took me to my first AA meeting, where I met my first real friends who wanted to be my friends because they were my friends, not because of something I had or something they wanted. I still didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I didn't really know who I was. So I kept searching for more. And I went to an AA meeting one time, and that's where I met my husband. My husband was in the Salvation Army ARC program in Sacramento, and we became friends, just going to the movies and hanging out, and he decided that he was going to take me to church with him one time, and I was really hesitant, wasn't too sure, and went with him one time, and that one time is what changed my life. I decided that what was missing was God, and so I gave my life to God, and from that day forward, it's been completely different. My husband and I got married 6 months later, and 6 months after that, I got pregnant with our first little boy, Zachariah. And now I'm pregnant again with our second little boy. My cervical cancer had somehow disappeared, and all that was there was a bunch of scar tissue. Before we got pregnant with our first son, we had prayed and prayed and prayed over it, and just knew that if we left it in God's hands, God would take care of it. I have a heart for people. I have a heart for suffering people. I have a heart for people that were like me. I read a quote that said, "We make leaders out of the rejected." And by me looking back at my husband and myself, we were the rejected. And the Salvation Army doesn't judge. They don't stereotype, and they don't set you aside by your class or what color you are. They love you for who you are. I believe that certain officers were placed in certain areas to guide us. The Coverts, Major Ed and Dorothy Covert, stepped into our lives, and those people are a gift from God. They are just amazing. They've basically taken my husband and I under their wing and made sure that we're following the track that God wants us to be on. So God has done some tremendous things in my life, and I know that I couldn't be who I am today without him. I never thought 6 years ago, when I gave my life to God, that I would be a mom, a wife, and living a life of full ministry. And it's all by the grace of God.